Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a die-hard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. Today, we're diving into the Dallas Cowboys' recent trade deadline moves, or lack thereof, and why so many fans are heated about the current state of our running back depth chart, particularly with Rico Dowdle now sitting pretty close to the top. Grab your popcorn, because this is gonna be a breakdown of emotions, strategy, and where this might leave the Cowboys for the rest of the season. So let's start with what went down at the trade deadline. Or perhaps it's better to say, what didn't go down. Cowboys fans, we know the trade deadline can be a nerve-wracking day, and this year was no exception. But instead of an influx of talent, or a last-minute game-changing addition, we were met with silence. No trade. No major adjustments. No new playmakers for our offense. And here's the thing, while some teams around the league made big splashes, the Cowboys seemed content to ride it out with the roster we have. But what's got fans really up in arms is the ripple effect this lack of movement has created. With Ezekiel Elliott now long gone, the expectation was that the Cowboys would bolster their running back depth to replace that power back presence Zeke once brought to the table. And with the Cowboys' offense, known for needing that 1-2 punch in the backfield, the hopes were high that a reliable addition would be made to back up Tony Pollard and avoid overworking him. But instead, the Cowboys seem to have put their faith in Rico Dowdle to be the next man up. For those who might not be too familiar with Dowdle, here's a quick rundown. He's an undrafted free agent out of South Carolina who's been with the Cowboys since 2020, bouncing around the depth chart and the practice squad. Injuries have limited his playing time over the years, but when healthy, Dowdle has shown flashes of potential. He's got a bit of burst, a bit of power. But here's the thing, he hasn't been tested as an every down back, and that's why fans are scratching their heads. Can we realistically expect him to fill that secondary role if Pollard needs a breather, or, worst case, if Pollard goes down with an injury? Fans have been vocal on social media, letting their frustrations out. Many feel the Cowboys have essentially put themselves in a risky position with a thin running back room that could easily collapse if even one injury occurs. We all know Tony Pollard is our primary guy, but fans are understandably anxious about leaning so heavily on him without a dependable backup who's seen significant NFL action. And that's not a knock against Dowdle, it's just the reality of where he is in his career. Think about the kind of pressure this creates not only for Pollard, but for Dowdle as well. Pollard, who's been playing well, but has had some difficulty finding the end zone as frequently as we'd like, now has even more responsibility on his shoulders. Not only does he have to be the primary workhorse, but he's got to stay healthy for this season to work. The lack of depth essentially means if Pollard needs to sit out, Dowdle has to step up. And the expectations are massive for a player who's still proving himself. Now, let's consider this from the Cowboys' front office perspective. It's no secret that Dallas is notorious for being conservative at the trade deadline. The team has historically leaned on their next man up philosophy, believing they can develop in-house talent rather than trading assets for established players. In theory, that sounds noble, trusting your roster, believing in the guys you have. But let's be real, Cowboys fans aren't convinced that strategy is going to bring a Super Bowl to Dallas. Fans want urgency, especially when it feels like there's a window of opportunity with how competitive the NFC East is this season. Another point to consider is cap space and draft capital. The Cowboys may have been cautious not to overspend or give up future assets in trades. This is a franchise that values long-term planning, and they might have felt that any player they could realistically acquire wouldn't be worth the cost. But for fans, This lack of action feels like a missed opportunity to push all chips on the table and show the world that they're serious about contending right now. After all, we've seen other teams go all in, sacrificing some draft picks to address critical needs. And Dallas? Dallas stood pat. But let's address the elephant in the room. Should the Cowboys have acquired a running back, even a low-key depth piece, at the deadline? There were some affordable options available. Players like Dalvin Cook, who's been struggling with the Jets, but could offer veteran experience, or even Leonard Fournette, who recently signed with the Bills practice squad, were out there. Either of these guys, even if not in peak form, might have added value to the Cowboys' backfield rotation. With a veteran in place, Dowdle could have continued developing without the pressure of being the immediate next man up. That's a scenario fans wish they'd seen come to life. Cowboys fans also have pointed out that a move would have sent a strong message that the front office is in a win-now mindset. While Dowdle has potential, fans feel it's a gamble to put all of their faith in him as the primary backup. And here's the reality. While fans understand that developing talent is important, they also recognize that the NFL is a what have you done for me lately kind of league. In a league this competitive, sometimes the long-term vision has to take a backseat to immediate needs. All this brings us to the rest of the season. If the Cowboys are going to keep rolling with Dowdle as RB2, fans are hoping to see him rise to the occasion. But this will require the Cowboys coaching staff to get creative with their offensive scheme. We might see more formations that split responsibilities in the backfield, giving Dowdle the chance to ease into the role without throwing him in the deep end. And hey, this could be the moment he needs to prove he can be an impact player. But if Dowdle struggles, the outcry from fans will only grow louder. And look, it's not just the fans who are concerned. Analysts across the NFL have echoed similar sentiments. Many were surprised the Cowboys didn't at least pursue some level of reinforcement at running back. It's a known weak spot, and in a league where depth is king, not addressing that spot feels like tempting fate. It's as if the Cowboys are relying on luck to keep their main guys healthy rather than having contingency plans in place. But let's not forget, while Cowboys fans might be frustrated now, this team has a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. If Dowdle steps up, if Pollard stays healthy, and if the Cowboys can leverage their current roster, we might see this approach pay off in the end. That's a lot of ifs, but for Cowboys fans, there's hope that this conservative approach won't backfire. So, Cowboys fans, here's the question I have for you. Are you willing to trust in this roster as it is? Or do you feel this missed opportunity at the trade deadline is going to haunt the Cowboys later in the season? Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you have faith in Rico Dowdle, or should Dallas have gone all in for some extra depth? This decision may very well define the season for better or worse, and you better believe we'll be here to break down every moment of it. Keep it locked here, hit that subscribe button, and let's see what the rest of the season has in store for America's team.